Rome did not expect to lose this battle, not because the enemy was weak, but because Rome believed itself eternal. For centuries, Roman discipline had crushed kingdoms, shattered empires, and broken every army foolish enough to stand in formation against the legions. Training, order, obedience, steel moving as one. And yet, in the summer of 378 AD, on a scorched plain near the city of Adrianople, that belief died. Not slowly, not gradually, but all at once. Because Adrianople wasn't just a defeat. It was the moment Rome realized discipline alone no longer guaranteed survival. The myth of Roman invincibility. By the late 4th century, Rome had already endured crisis after crisis, civil wars, assassinations, plagues, economic collapse. But one thing still held firm: the army. Roman soldiers still trained harder, marched farther, held formation longer. Enemies could defeat Rome in skirmishes, raid its borders, even sack its cities. But destroy a Roman field army? That was almost unthinkable. And Emperor Valens believed this myth more than anyone. Enter Valens, an emperor under pressure. Valens was not a fool, but he was insecure. He ruled the Eastern Roman Empire while his nephew, Gratian, ruled in the West. Gratian was younger, charismatic, and, most dangerously, successful. Valens needed a victory, and fate seemed to offer him one. The Goths crossed the Danube. Years earlier, a disaster had begun far from Roman borders: the Huns, a force of terror from the east, fast, merciless, unstoppable. Their arrival shattered the Gothic world north of the Danube. Entire tribes fled west, begging Rome for refuge. The Goths did not arrive as conquerors. They arrived as refugees. And Rome made a fatal mistake. Rome's greatest self-inflicted wound. The Goths were allowed to cross the Danube, unarmed, controlled, supervised, in theory. In reality, corrupt Roman officials starved them, extorted them, and sold dog meat at extortionate prices. Children were traded for food. Parents watched their sons disappear into Roman slavery. The Goths revolted, and Rome created an enemy inside its own borders. The war no one took seriously. At first, Roman commanders underestimated the threat. These are refugees, they said. Barbarians, they said. Disorganized, they said. But the Goths were not a single tribe. They were a people on the move. Warriors, families, wagons, horses. And among them rode cavalry Rome did not yet understand how to counter. Valens marches to Adrianople. By August 378, Valens finally marched out. Scouts reported the Goths nearby, encamped, vulnerable. Valens hesitated. Gratian was coming with reinforcements, but waiting meant sharing glory, and Valens wanted the victory for himself. Against advice, against caution, against experience, Valens ordered the attack. The heat, the march, the mistake. The Roman army marched under brutal summer heat. They arrived exhausted, dehydrated, hungry. The Goths sent envoys. They asked for negotiations. Valens stalled, but did not wait. Somewhere in the confusion, Roman skirmishers attacked without orders. The battle began by accident, and Rome was not ready. The trap closes. The Gothic infantry held the Roman advance. Shield walls locked. Dust filled the air. Then the ground began to shake. The Gothic cavalry returned. Thousands of horsemen slammed into the Roman flanks like a living avalanche. Roman formations bent, then broke. This was not a collapse of courage. It was a collapse of doctrine. Roman discipline assumed enemies who fought like Romans. Adrianople did not offer that luxury. The death of an emperor. The battlefield dissolved into chaos. Units fought alone. Commands were lost. Smoke and dust swallowed everything. Valens vanished. Some said he was struck by an arrow. Others claimed he burned alive in a farmhouse set ablaze by Goths. His body was never found. An emperor of Rome died like a nameless soldier. 2/3 of an army gone. By nightfall, the Roman army no longer existed. 2/3 destroyed, veteran legions annihilated, command structure erased. This was not just a defeat. It was one of the worst military disasters in Roman history, on par with Cannae. But Adrianople was worse, because Rome never truly recovered. Why Adrianople changed everything. Rome still fought on. The empire did not fall overnight, but something fundamental had shifted. The legions were no longer unmatched. Heavy infantry was no longer supreme. Discipline alone could not overcome mobility, adaptability, and combined arms. Rome had mastered order. Its enemies mastered chaos, and chaos was winning. The new world after Adrianople. In the years that followed, Rome adapted, but too late. More cavalry, more mercenaries, more compromises. Barbarian generals rose within Roman ranks. Allies became kingmakers. Rome still stood, but no longer alone at the top. Adrianople proved something terrifying. Empires don't die when they lose cities. They die when their assumptions fail. The final reflection. Rome believed discipline was destiny. Adrianople proved survival demanded more. Adaptability, humility, change. And when those fail, even the greatest empire in history can fall to dust on a forgotten battlefield. Closing CTA. If you want more cinematic deep dives into the battles that changed history, not just how they were fought, but why they mattered, subscribe to the channel. Because history isn't just about who won, it's about what was lost.